Hi, in this clip I'm going to show you how to get the best from your silicone moulds. I'm going to show you a variation of 3 different techniques, one of them being buttons, one cameo and one an intricate shell. All you're going to need to be able to achieve these perfect results are your moulds, a large dusting brush and some corn flour, and of course a little patience. There are a few different moulds here in front of me. One of the first ones I'm going to demonstrate to you is the button mould, probably one of the ones that people struggle most with. There are a few different techniques of getting perfectly moulded pieces. One of the most popular is to fill your mould, and what I've done here is I've got treated sugar paste and I've made sure that my button hole itself is completely dusted with corn flour. There shouldn't be too much excess, so just tap out what you don't need. I've taken a pinch of white fondant and I've flattened it into a small disc. I pop it on the top and I push from the top down into the mould, making sure that it fills all of those little crevices. I come over the top with my rolling pin, pat it back in. Now at this point there's a couple of things you can do. You could pop your entire filled mould straight into the freezer, and you can leave it in the freezer for about half an hour, and once you take it out, turn it out onto greaseproof paper and allow it to dry for 8 to 12 hours. If you don't have that much time, you can do it quite successfully by using the corn flour method. Once your mould is filled, make sure that you loosen the edges. If it's going to get stuck anywhere, it's going to get stuck on those edges. So I'm just stretching the edges away and I'm loosening it out of any extra part in the base. And then I simply turn it out, gently easing it with my fingers to give me the perfect button. If you are making up lots of buttons in advance, I would say great, fill the whole button mould up and pop it in the freezer, and then when you turn it out you'll have 10-15 buttons, dry them out, store them in a tin and you'll have them ready to use. The next one I'm going to show you is a more detailed one, just so as I can demonstrate to you the fact that it doesn't matter how detailed it is, you should always be able to get it out. I'm turning it almost inside out to make sure that my brush goes right in with the corn flour. I tap out any excess, and again I'm taking some treated sugar paste, a small ball, making sure it's well warmed, and I push it into the back. I go over with my rolling pin, being careful not to drag it out. I use the knife tool. I hold over the back of the mould with my finger and I slice the knife tool over the back between my finger and the top of the mould. I push the edges back in. And I'm following the same principle of loosening all the way around the edge before I attempt to turn it out. I turn it over and pop it out. And you can see all the grooves on there are perfect, all the detail is perfect. It's a completed piece ready for you to dust. I prefer to make my moulded pieces in white and then colour them up with dust later, but you can of course make them in whatever colour you want to. The last mould I'm going to show you is a cameo mould, and these are probably ones that people struggle with most. The best way to achieve perfect results with this is to fill the cameo part or the highlighted part at the front with white simple sugar paste. That's soft untreated sugar paste. I push it into that section that we're going to have white, and I'm going to add a blue background to this one. I'm taking a metal ball tool and I'm pushing it right in to the background. And what you're doing is you should be thinning it to make sure that any excess is easing straight out over the edges of this. And then using your knife tool, you just come round and just scrape anywhere that it might have gone over that you don't want it to show on the coloured part behind. Once you've filled that section, I'm going to use my water pen to come over and just brush gently the white section. Taking a little bit of the blue. This is treated sugar paste now. It's had CMC work through it. We warm it up well, and you should be having a chewing gum consistency when you know that this is ready. So you can see that it now has this stretch on it when I pull it. I'm going to form a ball shape, and then I'm going to pre-shape it roughly to the shape of the back of the cameo here, just with my fingers. And I put it in. I push with my fingers to fill that mould. The water on the back of the insert is going to seal it straight onto the back of the mould. Push it right in. Again, we follow the same principles. We loosen all the way around the edge and gently turn out. You can just pat down the top and you should have a perfect cameo finish.